What's going on, everyone? Juicebags here, and welcome back to some Dungeon Defenders 2. We are here on the Molten Citadel Elemental Rumble hard mode. This map is absolutely awesome. The reason I love this map is it just brings a lot of diversity on how you can build it out and get the job done, but it's got one huge negative. And one of the benefits of this map is being able to set up like a massive turtle build and sitting here and boosting it out like on your initiate. And that would be the negative as well, is if you do that, the map is going to take about 47 years to run. So you get the downside of a slow running map, but the upside of the chillaxing gameplay of boosting it out. Now, this particular week, we got a whole lot of real friendly lanes. So we got earth damage, fire damage, earth down there. We got earth and fire in the middle. We got fire. We got earth there. And then we've got one lonely storm lane all by itself. So with that in mind, we're going to be able to use an electrocute combo all the way around, except right here, as the storm lane, of course, won't be able to be electrocuted. And we really could use fire damage every. So, of course, fire damage is going to do double damage to the earth lane. It'll be a neutral defense and do 50% to the fire lane. So with that in mind, this is going to be just an awesome map to bust out those dragons more. Now, we got two earth lanes over here on this side. So with that in mind, I am going to put the dragon on this side, as I feel like it's going to get the most value right here. This is the only buff beam I'm going to use on the dragon. I do want the dragon to be good and fat, so we are going to put down some meaty dragon business. In fact, let's go ahead and get a couple of boost stars down as well. Just kind of lazy placing those there, but it should be able to cover everything that I have out there. And then we're going to get our mama bird down. So I got mixed emotions. I wish you could angle it over a little bit more to help out on the flyers. But, speaking of flyers, go ahead and get that on the buff beam as well. And then see if we're going to be able to still get our dragon. Yeah, the dragon seems fine. Now we're going to give it a couple of baby birds as well, just to boost up mama. But something like that should handle that lane. Going to go with a reflect beam just right here in the front. That should boost everything. It's going to be real close on whether or not it's boosting Skyguard, though. Yeah, it actually looks like it is. So should be fine there. Now, what do we want to do in these other lanes? Well, we got a perfect opportunity to bust out a little bit of flavor snake action. So we're going to get some fire snakes in the mix here today. Let's see. Let's get our CC up first. So we do want to do electrocute all the way around, so we're going to just use water auras. Nothing in particular on them. The main thing they've got is anti-heal, which we're not really even going to get much of a benefit out of anti-heal on this map with the elements that we got. But it is going to be able to provide that water for the drench to combine with some storm damage for our electrocute. Whoops, wrong defense. So we're going to be using some storm damage proton beams. I've got the rate overcapped on them just because I'm used to playing where you have to overcap your proton beams to deal with frost orcs. We don't have that issue here, but I'm not going to bother changing the setup as they're just there for the combo. So let's go ahead and get a proton beam down every lane. We're going to put it lengthwise down the center of the lane just because the protons do hit really, really far outside of their box. Any enemies that are really hugging the rails here are going to end up sneaking through without getting electrocuted, but I am good with that. So let's see. We wanted to do some flavor snakes, right? So let's get a little fire snake action going. So fire servo, defense rate, and anti-melee, using destruction, mass destruction, and ramping beam on those. And let's how do we want to do them? Well, we can put 2 on each rail, something like that. And then What else do we want to do? Well, I've got this Spectral Knight set up with water. Defense rate, water, and anti-melee. Spectral amplification, mass destruction, and destruction. So why don't we throw just one of those guys down right in the middle. The water damage, of course, is going to do double damage against the fire lane there. We're going to do the same thing over here. Let's throw just one of them down in the middle. And then what? That doesn't leave much. So we've got our pylons we want to get in there. Let's go ahead and slap those down right there. We'll slap that one down there. That leaves me 30 DU. Now remember, over here, we are going to have enemies that are not being seen. So what do we want to do about that? Well, we could just add in a little bit more damage on the side. Those, of course, want earth damage. I don't really have anything set up for earth damage at the moment, I don't believe, do I? Anything that's 30 DU? What could we do for a little earth damage in the mix? Well, I mean, we could bust out some sentry turrets, maybe. Do we have an earth? We do have an earth one ready to go. And what do we want to throw on it? Well, we want to give it a destruction. I guess we can give it a power transfer, and then we'll just leave that sentry rocket on it as well. Let's see where we can sneak that guy in. What we can do is just move this over, and then we can get a sentry. And we can get our Spectral Knight in there. Something like that should get the job done. And then let's just swap over to boosting it out. Now, we have to remember, there is no crowd control on that storm lane. We're not going to do anything about it, though. So what I am going to do, though, is prioritize keeping an eye on that lane. See if we can throw one upgrade on all of the damaging defenses here. Hopefully. No, we're out of juice. So let's just let it fly and get it done here. So this map, another benefit you have on this one is once you get over the hump, getting past like the initial burst of enemies, the remainder of the enemies come out very, very staggered. So like you can pay attention to this lane, then pay attention to that lane, then pay attention to that lane, etc. The enemies are staggered out quite nicely, and it makes for a pretty smooth running experience altogether. Looks like all of our storm enemies are dead there, so as soon as the enemies that are storm enemies come out on that lane, we're going to be able to just go ahead and ignore that lane and switch focus over to the other lanes for the remainder of the run. The only thing I think that might be suspect at all right here now is the flyers. Of course, the flyers can get some serious dive bomb action on you. Any of the Kobold flyers are going to be a problem. I'm using knockback on the Initiate, but I also have that Molten Cage. The knockback obviously isn't going to do anything for the flyers, but the Molten Cage will. So I should be able to get a little crowd control in on the flyers using that Molten Cage here. Well, let's just go ahead and burn through it here. Like I said, it's this one's a slow burn, y'all. It takes a while to get this map done if you do a turtle build. However, turtle builds are just so fun, particularly on this map, that for me personally, I think it's worth, I mean, I'm not going to be grinding this map. As far as like the number of runs per hour or whatever, I'm not overly concerned with it. And this is the first map I'm doing of the week, as I just love the map. I think it's going to be good times. Okay, we got some more storm enemies rolling out, so let's go ahead and swap our focus back over to this lane and make sure we burn through those storm enemies and get them knocked back with that runaway minecart and then the wave mods on my Initiate here. I should just be able to knock back all of those storm enemies without any issues. Just let it fly here. Keep the boosting flowing on that one. No crowd control is always a little bit suspect, depending on how long the lanes are and how often you have to take shots at them. Okay, here comes our first dive bomber. Let's see if we can get a couple of Molten Cage procs there. Got one more over here as well, and they're pushing through on this lane. We're definitely going to need some upgrades in here. No crowd control definitely hurts. And then additionally, like a Skyguard against these Earth Flyers is not helping things out too much either. But as we get some upgrades in, we'll be able to power through all of those issues. I think I'm going to prioritize the 30 DU defenses first. I do want to get just like one upgrade on Mama. Yeah, let's go ahead and give her. We'll give Mama 2 upgrades, give her a little bit more juice. And something like that should get it done. Now, as I mentioned, this map does take about 47 years to run. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and jump on forward to wave number 5 and see how this one ends up. And here we go into wave number 5. Now, so far, the ground lanes have not been really much of a problem, but the flyer lanes, man, they are the real deal on this one. As you see, I got rid of that Skyguard altogether, and I gave this lane as Earth Flyers. So I gave them a Fire Snake to burn on those Earth Flyers. And then over on this side, I angled my Spectral Knight over so that it's helping with the Flyers. And you see I added a Frost Strike Aura with the remaining 20 DU down on the rail down there, just to try to ease the tension a little with the Flyers. The lanes themselves, this initiate, of course, is fully focused on the whole knockback setup with the Runaway Minecart and the Rogue Wave. So the ground lanes, particularly on this map, where the enemies really have to kind of bunch in close together to come up the stair there, it's just a non-issue. The Flyers, however, Earth Flyers versus Skyguard is a bad combo for sure. I tend to get too comfortable just slapping that one all-for-one Skyguard down on so many maps. But this particular map, man, they don't care for it. The Earth Flyers are just not having any of it. Still got some pretty thick, healthy enemies. We got a group making the push over here, but let's burn through these guys first. They're just about burned out. And let's see how these Flyers go. I'm trying to, the Molten Cage, of course, is helpful versus the Flyers, but the diminishing returns just stacks up on it so fast. So it ends up not doing a whole lot as far as overall crowd control goes. Let's see what we're going to get on this one for commanders and bosses. We had a captain in an earlier wave. Looks like we're going to have Malthius on this one. Love to get some damage in on Malthius, but I don't want to swap over. I'm just going to slow burn the 2 bosses. Was going to swap over to my Hunter there, but I think I'm just going to slow burn the 2 bosses because the Flyers should be popping any second now. And I want to be very, very focused on those Flyers. Keep the knockback going. Here versus the boss lane. Here come the Flyers now. Let's get that dive bomber. Try to get that dive bomber burned out. And they are on the push over here too. Definitely a little butt pucker once you get these Flyers in. I still got one more Kobold Flyer in the mix there. Back behind, too. Alright, there we go. Looks like the Frost Strike Aura got the Kobold. So I kind of got a little lucky there on that one. This ground lane really pushed up. But you see how fast you're able to mitigate that. We do have one more Flyer. And that flyer's down. We still got Malthius. Got a bunch of mobs that got knocked over the rail over there. Looks like Malthius is just about there. Looks like all we have is bugged mobs left. So we got the win. It got a little sketchy there, but that's the power of the knockback. You see how fast you're able to get through and just mitigate those issues as they present themselves. Now, of course, if you're playing with your ult, doing a build like this, particularly if you have, like the Countess is what I normally use on my ult, you can double tower boost, and it makes the entire thing just trivial. So, by all means, use your ult. You're allowed to use them, so you might as well use them. Even though you can't trade the gear, so it's not going to help you get a set any quicker, but it definitely makes these maps run way, way smoother if you do get your ult into the mix here. We got a couple of skellies on the ground there, and there we go. So, not the prettiest run for sure. Had to make some changes there. The flyers, man. The flyers will just get you if you're not careful. And, yeah. Anyway, that is a look at the Molten Citadel on Elemental Rumble Hard Mode for this week. So thanks a ton for watching. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you next time around. Take it easy. Come on, be there. Be there. It's not there. Imagine that. Thanks again, y'all.